Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We saw a handful of buffs and nerfs with the Season 3 update a bit ago, and one buff in particular has really stood out to me since the launch of the season, and that is the changes that were made to the STB 556. Already a relatively competitive rifle is now even better, and sort of coinciding with some of the nerfs that we saw to some of the other rifles, the STB has made a name for itself here very quickly. So I want to start first here today on True Game Data just to break down some stats, because there are some surprising standouts when it comes to the STB. Now, one thing I love about True Game Data, huge shout out to Tony, because he actually allows you to see the current updated weapon stats and also what the weapon stats were before the changes were made. So here you guys can see we've got the newly buffed STB 556, and then also the pre-patch STB 556. We can look at the 250 health here just behind the face cam combination shots, and it's a pretty clear chart here. The newly buffed STB 556, our red line, clearly has a better TTK just in general. It's going to be roughly the same through the first 27 meters, but then beyond that, the damage ranges and the drop-offs are just better on the newly buffed STB 556. So it's just more efficient in the mid-range and the long range than before the update, right? So now that we know that for a fact, the newly buffed STB 556 is largely better, let's see how this compares to some of the other main meta rifles. So now here again on True Game Data, we've got the newly buffed STB. We've got the TAC 56, a top tier choice, M13B, a great choice for long range, ISO Hemlock, still considered the #1 rifle by a lot of players, and the 7.62, which is of course a powerhouse. And once more, we look at 250 health here. We go ahead and we look at combination shots, and we get some pretty interesting data here. The first initial standout you're going to see is that our red line over time does actually end up with the worst, quote unquote, worst TTK here, but I'm going to touch on that more in a bit. Yes, beyond 47 meters, its TTK is slower than our other four options here, but that's not always the case. What is very interesting though is that how good the STB is before that 47 meter range drop off, right? In the mid range here, it is consistently the second or third best TTK, all the way up from 29 meters to 47, which is a prime range there in which you'd be using a rifle like this or any of these options quite a bit, especially if you're playing Ashika Island, but even on Al Mazrah as well. Then also in the close range through the first 29 meters, it either has the best TTK by a decent margin for the first 15 meters, or it's right there with the other options, second or third best again through the first 29 meters. So its close range and its mid range is super effective. Now, yes, like I said, the long range damage, it does fall off here some. However, something you really want to take into consideration here is the control. The Cast-Off 7.62, which has the second best TTK here, has a ridiculous amount of recoil. At 70 meters, you are going to land infinitely more shots with an STB or even with the TAC 56, which have slower TTKs, than the Cast-Off 7.62. The M13B has a very fast fire rate. You're going to have to stop and reload more at the M13 if you miss a couple of shots than you would with the STB, for instance. So you end up with a gun that, yes, it's 100% accurate on paper. TTK is the slowest of these five options, but realistically in game, once you factor in accuracy and once you factor in all the properties of each weapon here, it's more than likely going to be a lot closer to the Cast-Off and to the Hemlock, so on and so forth. So overall, I feel like it doesn't matter what range you're running this at now, the STB is going to be a go-to choice for a lot of players, and we'll have two different setups we'll break down here in a bit. One more for the close and mid-range as sort of sniper support, but also one to use in this long-range area if you want. I do, though, want to look at a few of the other weapon stats here that are kind of unique. So pretty standard and right there with most of the other rifles in a lot of areas. Bullet velocity, its fire rate's a little bit faster, which is nice to see. Magazine size by default is going to be the same. What is cool here, though, is that the ADS time is a little bit faster than the Hemlock, than the Cast-Off 7.62. Its velocity is good, its movement speed is good. Look at the sprint to fire. It is wildly faster than everything else here, about half the time of our other four rifles. The STB is so fast with TAC sprint to fire and standard sprint to fire, which is huge for especially the aggressive build here, the more sniper support-esque build that we have here, but even for making the more long-range option that I'll break down for you guys a lot more versatile as well. This is a huge standout element to why the STB now is such a reliable and consistent and versatile rifle. So that said, now that we have these stats here, let's go ahead and let's dive into the actual loadouts here. As we get into this, quick reminder, if you guys are new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. That way you can always guarantee you're up to date with all things going on in COD. And if you guys enjoyed this video, if you find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. Would be seriously appreciated. So this first setup that we got here is the sniper support one. We've actually talked about this one a handful of times. We're already taking this very fast, very aggressive rifle and making it even more fast and even more aggressive, right? So for the close range and the mid range, this build in particular is going to be insanely competitive. So first up, Q900 rear grip, better ADS and sprint to fire on here, and we're tuning to match that. We've also got the C11 riser just behind the face cam, better ADS and sprint to fire as well. Tunes to enhance that ADS and then the strafe speed a little bit too. I don't like the iron sights on the AUG at all, as I've talked about several times, so I go for the basic blue dot here for the close to mid range. It works perfect for that. For the style position, faster ADS on those tunes. 7 milliwatt laser is going to enhance that ADS and sprint to fire even more. Like, this thing is leagues above the other rifles when it comes to its aggression now with these attachments and after this update, right? Better ADS and sprint to fire on those tunes. Then lastly, the S901 barrel is going to just help out with movement in general, which is super nice to see. This gun is so easy to use in general. You don't have to worry about control or anything like that. It is going to be a laser beam, a very fast rifle, and its TTK, as we saw, is one of the best for that sniper support sort of close to mid-range niche. And then the long range build here, again, also going to be ridiculously easy to use. No recoil really, so we don't have to worry too much about that. And then we can just focus on making it reliable and consistent and, you know, just dominant over range. So here I'm going for the AMOV V4. As always, if you have an optic you like more, use that one, of course. For the style position, faster ADS on the tunes there as always. The 42 round mag is the max capacity here. You definitely would need this more for long range than you would for close range. You could use this on the sniper support build if you wanted to drop something for it. I don't feel like it's super necessary there, as opposed to long range where it's kind of mandatory, right? Unfortunately, it's no 50, it's no 55. That would be ideal, but 42 is still sufficient for what we're going for here. High velocity ammo per usual, just to make that consistency more noticeable in the mid to long range. That hit reg feel a little bit more consistent, right? So better velocity, better range on those tunes. Echoless 80 suppressor, staying off the compass, of course, getting the much better range and velocity out of this tunes for the better velocity and ADS speed. Then also the rear guard barrel. This is very minimal cons for some really solid pros with the added range and the added velocity on there. So we go ahead, we tune for the better damage range, the better steadiness on there as well. This is going to feel very straightforward. It won't take much to get used to the recoil or anything, so you're going to be able to consistently track players, trace players, and land shots on them over 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 meters, and it's going to be able to hang with those other rifles because of how easy it is to use. So the buffed STB, absolutely making a name for itself and one of the most competitive rifles we have in the game right now, arguably the most versatile rifle we have in the game right now too. So that being said, that's gonna wrap things up for this one. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications to always guarantee you are up to date with the latest news, updates, loadouts, tips, and everything else going on in the world of COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.